What's up, Ensven Squad? How you doing? Today we're going to explore 5 possible future villains that we may have to face in the next Mass Effect. I'll also be explaining the why to my reasoning and the likelihood of it happening. Just remember that this is just based on speculation and theory crafting, so don't get too excited and expect BioWare to go through with any of it, alright? Oh, and just one more thing, I've added some Amazon affiliate links to my gaming gear in the description below. So, if you need a great microphone, gaming mouse, or awesome headphones, check those out after the video. Alright, enough with the shilling already, let's go. The first contender on our list of villains will have to be the Kett. Why? Because the conflict with the Kett that we saw in Mass Effect Andromeda is still unresolved. At the end of Andromeda, the leader of the local group of Kett in the Helios cluster, called the Archon, was defeated and subsequently killed during the race to the highly advanced artificial world called Meridian. This means that the Kett stand leaderless in the Helios cluster, but that doesn't mean that they're gone completely. We see how the second in command to the Archon, called Primus, walking towards the camera at the end of the game, hinting that she takes over as the leader and possibly calling on the Kett leadership to send forces to the cluster. The likelihood of us seeing the Kett as the primary villains is actually quite high if you consider that BioWare would try to connect Mass Effect Andromeda to the original trilogy. In one of my earlier videos, I explained that we may see this happen since it could possibly explain the Andromeda colonists fleeing back to the Milky Way, which is not a guarantee either, by the way. The true Kett leadership are however probably very pissed that a group of colonists managed to fight them off. So they're probably going to invade in full force after the end of Andromeda. Our second contenders are somewhat elusive as they're not as widely known to a lot of fans. These are the Auravors, the old nemesis of the Prothean Empire. In case some of you guys are unfamiliar with these beings, don't worry, I've got you covered. The Auravors were a dominant race that existed during the reign of the Prothean Empire. They became known for harvesting worlds upon worlds for resources, stripping entire planets of materials they needed for their expansion. The Protheans opposed the Auravors and seems to have viewed the Auravors as sort of a plague on the galaxy. One example that proves the Auravors' malevolence was when they invaded Thessia, the homeworld of the Asari, in order to strip it of its resources. The Protheans came to Thessia's aid and defended the Asari, which resulted in the Asari worshipping the Protheans as the figure Athame, their benevolent goddess.
The activation process has begun.
The reason to why the Auravors may return is that we only know that they were defeated by the Protheans and seemingly wiped out. If they indeed managed to survive the Reaper harvest on a remote world somewhere, they could possibly return one day to once again expand. And what better victims than a galactic civilization that's in the process of rebuilding? The third entry on our list is one that a lot of you are familiar with. Ah, yes, the Leviathans. Now, the Leviathans could be either very likely or not at all likely depending on how you view it. I made a video on them a while back, so check that out if you want to after the video. We got their backstory in the Mass Effect 3 DLC aptly called Leviathan, and here we find out that they're the original creators to the Catalyst. They also viewed themselves as the first apex race of the galaxy, and they uplifted many species from the primordial muck. They were worshipped as gods by many civilizations. They were also the basis for the first Reaper, Harbinger, as you can see when you look at their massive bodies. A few of the Leviathans managed to survive the Reaper harvest when it first began, and so they hid away on different worlds in hiding. And now that the Reapers and the Catalyst are gone, the Leviathans could rise from the depths of their oceanic planet and take their place as the galaxy's apex race once again. The problem with the Leviathans as villains is that they were not exactly malevolent or evil, but only arrogant. They didn't seem to conquer the galaxy by force, but by worship. And then we have the fact that they're extremely similar to the Reapers in design, and we already know a lot about them. So perhaps they may not be very exciting since there really isn't much to learn about them. They do fit the bill of galactic overlords, however, so it's not impossible that we'll see them again. And now we're bouncing back to the Andromeda Galaxy again to talk about another old race. This is of course the Jardan, or the opposition to the Jardan. What we know about the Jardan is not very much. We do know that they're the builders of the terraforming networks that span the Helios cluster, and they're also the architects of the Remnants and the Meridian. They were also revealed to be the creators of the Angaran that we get introduced to in Mass Effect Andromeda, and that they seem to have wanted to seed the Helios cluster with life through the Angaran people. The Jardan seem to have been either wiped out or straight up disappeared, and the reasons for this are pointing towards something they referred to as the opposition. Clearly, some opposing force were fighting the Jardan for reasons we do not know. The opposition does, however, seem to be responsible for the Scourge, the large dark energy-like formations that ruin everything in its path. Could the opposition possibly return one day to destroy the plans of the Jardan once and for all, or maybe the Jardan will return as villains somehow? Maybe they're one and the same with the different factions. It could be very interesting to see a continuation of this conflict, and perhaps it even spreads to the Milky Way. Now the last contender is one I think a lot of you guys are hoping for: Galactic Civil War. Whatever you want to call it, there are possible bad guys everywhere. The signs are there. We have seen how the galaxy time and time again falls into infighting. The galaxy is repairing after the Reaper War. Every race is vulnerable and are doing their best to regain their strength. And this is also where their past behaviors could come into play. The first species that come into mind are definitely the Krogan. After they were uplifted by the Solarians to fight the Rachni, not only did they manage to completely crush their enemy, but they soon proved to be a threat to the entire galaxy in the Krogan rebellions, which started because they felt unjustly rewarded for their efforts to destroy the Rachni. Even if you didn't cure the genophage in Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda explained that the Krogan adapted and built a resistance to the genophage, and so, it seems that given time, the genophage won't be a factor in the future. Which means that the galaxy could see a resurgence of the Krogan once again. There is also the possibility that every race builds factions of different views. Perhaps more militaristic factions in all the species of the galaxy, and suddenly we'd have both enemies and friends on all sides. Perhaps the Turians want to grab the galactic leadership by force, considering the Turians always had the strongest military. Maybe we'll see the Yogg rise up and build their own leadership that rule with an iron fist, and the galaxy has to unite once again to oppose this extremely powerful species. The possibilities are endless with a galaxy that's rebuilding. But what do you guys think? What would you say is the most likely candidate of all these? Oh, and before we end the video, remember to drop a follow over on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, the whole shebang. Links are on my YouTube banner and in the description. And as always, have a great day on Sven Squad. MrHulthen out.